Now today, I want to actually try and remember to check Stefan's book and see what these guns are actually supposed to look like. And while I'm thinking of it, you'll notice here the base. Well, it's going to be pretty hard to have, to get in with the airbrush and get that properly. So I'm probably not going to worry about it. I'm just going to sort of come down at at an angle as these rotate, and just mainly get the pedestal part of it here. Yeah, and I'll do these with a little, and I'll do the bases with a paintbrush later. Anyway, let's see how much we can get done here today. Okay, now before I get the fan going, and I can't hear myself think here for the racket, and you can't hear me either, I want to mention why it is that, I don't think I've ever talked about this before, why it is that I will often stop, take my toothbrush, dip it in this old isopropyl here, and scrub out the end. Well, what happens is after a while, after spraying for a while, the needle, the end of the needle, gets kind of a buildup of dried paint on it. The airflow is spoiled, so it's no longer siphoning the paint properly. And this is just a real fast, easy way to do it. I've some people they take the protective tip off of the end of their airbrush, and then you'll sometimes see them just take it off with their fingers like this. Well, I find that this seems to work really well, and I can leave the protective cover on here, and I don't need to worry about damaging the point. Yeah, so that's what that's all about. I'm just cleaning the end here. Quite often I'll do it, and then I will cut it out, and you don't see me doing it on the video. Today you probably will, because all being well, I'm just going to let it go, and you're going to have to fast forward through it if you don't want to watch the whole thing. Anyway, let's get going here. Now, before you press your fast forward button or skip ahead, at the 12.5-minute mark, I do a color change. I don't think I've ever done a color change on camera before. In other words, instead of completely cleaning out the airbrush and then putting in a different color, which in this case is going to be the lighter gray, I backflush. And yeah, I don't clean the airbrush completely. And if you want to see how I do that, well, wait until the 12.5-minute mark. Nobody's going to be mad at you if you watch the whole thing, by the way. I'm getting better at this. If you want to see how I do it, well, watch it. And, in the comments below, what do you think? Can I improve on what I'm doing? Or have I pretty well got it under control now? Anyway, at 12.5 minutes, I do a color change. Oh my, I do believe I put it on too thick there. Well, we'll see what happens when it dries. Watching the video here while I'm editing, I can tell where I went wrong there, and some of you probably picked up on that. When I added the light gray, I did not flush out the isopropyl out of the nozzle completely, and for a while there I was probably spraying a pretty diluted solution of paint, and I kept watching and nothing seemed to be changing. Well, that's because the paint was just too diluted, and by the time I got came to the pure paint, you might say, well, I had built up quite a lot of paint there, and well, we'll see what happens. I haven't actually seen it yet, so we'll take a close look with the macro lens, and I don't know if I'm going to have to repaint that first one or not. And the last one. Our airbrush is all cleaned up and back in its little box. And I think we're probably safe to take these off now. Now the other side is not painted. But like I was saying, that's okay. It's going to go up against the side of the turret. Anyway, I'll get these all off and we'll put the macro lens on and have a nice close look. Now each one of these turrets is made up of 10 or 11 separate pieces, when you include like the photo etch on the barrels and stuff like that. Maybe more. Anyway, we're not going to take a look at all 60, 70, 80 different little pieces here. We'll just pick a few at random and assume that the rest look like that. Let's take a look at these. Now before you say, whoops, he's got one the wrong way up. Well, I deliberately did that just so we could see the difference between the painted and the non-painted. But we didn't lose too much detail with the airbrush. In fact, we probably didn't lose any. In fact, painting it with that flat gray paint, it may have actually brought out the detail. Now, this is just my unprofessional opinion. Now, as for the turret covers, I guess you'd call them covers, there's the two different types. Everything else was identical, like the same barrels and, breeches and all that kind of stuff. It was the same. But there was this one that had sort of like a little roof over top of the breech area. And then there was this one here that, was more open. We'll find them in Stefan's book here. Okay, here we are on page 228. And you can see the two different types here. This is the more open one, which was this one. And this represents the closed one. And what's really interesting is you'll notice the controls to operate the guns are on the outside. You didn't get to stand inside where you're a little bit sheltered. You're out there where the shrapnel and everything else is just flying around. And as one of the viewers mentioned, it's I think he indicated this, that the gunner was expendable. Probably they viewed the gun as being more important than the person. Now, I imagine the people that made up those rules made sure that their family members were not standing on the outside. However, war is a funny business, isn't it? Anyway, let's see if we can find some more pictures here. Now, in this drawing, you can see the mechanism a little clearer. Yeah, obviously you weren't standing inside here, sheltered. Interesting. Okay, that phone call that you just heard, it was my son calling to let me know that there's going to be a Christmas program later today, and my grandson is going to be in it. So I guess if Grandpa knows what's good for him, he better get out there and brush the snow off the car. And also, just a few minutes ago, this came in the mail, and a lot of you know what it is. But we'll open it up anyway and take a look. Yeah, it's going to be something that I don't think I've ever had my hands on before. Now, before we do our package opening and see what it is that Tony sent us, I just realized that we did not take a close look at this part, at least not since it was painted. And yeah, once again, all the detail is preserved. In fact, it's too preserved. You can see where I failed to remove the microscopic flashing that is on there. Oh my goodness. Okay, here's a letter which I will read off camera. Now this easy line I was expecting, but these high quality paintbrushes I was not. All right, here is what I believe to be custom made. Let me get rid of this piece of tape that's stuck on my thumb here. This is custom made tweezers, and that is shrink wrap. Now I don't have any shrink wrap, or I probably would have tried that. So yeah, you're going to be seeing these a lot. Okay. Now as for these paintbrushes here, we'll probably be trying those out. Well, we could maybe try one out, I was going to say today, but we're kind of running out of time here. Tomorrow for sure. Yeah. Okay. Now, I don't think we need this piece of cardboard anymore. Oh my goodness, is that a refine? Now I was expecting something like, 5-pound test fishing line or something like that. This is extremely fine. We'll have to stick the macro lens on to see that properly. Thank you, Tony, on behalf of myself and on behalf of all the viewers. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, I have read the letter. There was actually two sheets there. One was a letter from Tony, and the other was instructions on to how to properly use the easy line. And in the letter, Tony recommended that I get a crochet hook. Well, I didn't even have to stand up. One is right here on the model table. And with all the junk that I lugged upstairs from the workshop almost a year ago now, I thought a crochet hook might come in handy. And sure enough. Anyway, this is the easy line. It is extremely delicate, and it's supposed to have a stretch of 700%. Now, I haven't tried it yet. I don't want to waste any of this. We'll wait until we're actually doing our rigging. And as far as the paintbrushes go, Tony was saying one is the equivalent to a 0, and the other is like a 000. He was mentioning that he has quite a few. So he thought he'd pass a couple on to me. That was really nice. Once again, Tony, thank you very much. You'll probably be hearing this at about 6:30 tonight your time, if you're watching this at regular time, that is. Yeah, and I'm sure you viewers appreciate that too. This is going to make it a little bit more, well, you might say, interesting. This episode is about half an hour long already, and if I don't hurry up and get it uploaded to YouTube, it will not be at regular time. Yeah, in the meantime, thanks for watching, and all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.